Hi everybody, welcome to episode 10 of the Spin That Shutdown Showdown. Double digits 10. Today I'll talk about record labels and how you know recognize record labels out there shopping for records. You gotta know what pressing it is because that does affect the value on it. So I'll talk a little bit about different record companies and the labels they use. Just start off here with some Beatles records. So during the 60s, the Beatles had Capitol label, and they were Capitol label looked like this: black label with the rainbow around it, and then the address here or the statement inside the black. In the 1980s, they redid this label, but this part here was in the rainbow. That's how you can tell the difference also from the 80s pressing. But after that, the label started changing, as seen in this copy here, where this was done in 1970, 69, 70. They used this green label. So it's green with the Kappa logo over here, Beatles. And then they kept on pressing Beatles records throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Even today, you can get a brand new Beatles record. So there's a lot of Beatles records out there. So after this, it went with like a red label, then a purple label, and then in the 80s, they went to that black label with the text inside the rainbow, not in the black. So we look at Beatles records, pull it out, look at the condition, look at your label. That way you know what pressing it is. Warner Brothers, some Grateful Dead examples. They had different variations on their label, and some of them is a little subtle. So we'll talk about that. Here, this is the original green label. This is the first green label done by Warner Brothers, 1969. It's green, and the thing that differentiates this one from the next one is this logo here for Warner Brothers is in the square, versus this one was done a year later, but still same green label, but it's a shield with Warner Brothers. So Warner Brothers, that's how you could kind of tell what year it was pressed. The original pressings will look like this. And then after they went from the green label with the square logo on top, they went to what's called the Burbank label, because the address was Burbank and has palm trees, so they're the palm trees label. After this, it was just a white label with the WB logo on the top, like the Warner Brothers Shield logo on the top, all white in the 80s. So just when you're out there looking for records, pull them out, look at the labels, definitely learn your labels. A good resource for errors and labels, the Goldmine Record Guide, Price Guide has a first section of the labels and tells you what year, what the label looked like. So definitely want to know, keep that in mind. Also, Bob Dylan, this is a good example of the labels. So these are two Bob Dylan records. This one is from 1962. And this is what the label looks like. Columbia label, they call these the I, so it's a 2I label, mono pressing. Right over here, you can tell. That's how you know it's the mono pressing. So in 1965, this same record, and again, it's a 2I, but it actually says mono. So that's the difference between that pressing and this pressing. So the earlier the pressing, the more expensive the record is, more value. So definitely keep an eye on Columbia pressings. 2I with the mono. This also was a 2I, and there's mono written in black. So that's kind of a little variant right in between that too, in this Dylan. So the one you want to find with Dylan is the very first pressing, which had a label look like this. This is what they call the 6I label. This is really hard to find in the Dylan's. This is his debut record, but there was one pressing right in the beginning in 1962. They still had the old labels, and they used this label with the 6Is. That is the very, very first pressing, very rare, and that's going to determine the difference in value. If you find this record with this label, this record would be worth several $100s, versus some of these examples, which are $15 to $40, depending on condition. Obviously, that affects the value a lot also, but definitely this is the rarest version if you find one with the 6I label. Elektra was another one that you can kind of have an idea of the pressings by the way their labels look like. So is a 1970 Elektra pressing. So this has a big butterfly. So it's like a dark background with a butterfly. 1970, same record. So you want to pull out, look at it, and you know what pressing it is. It's a big butterfly. like that with the kind of darkish background. There's a little later butterfly, smaller butterfly, lighter background. That's a little later, but this is the first use of the butterfly label in 1970. Also, this one, this is 67, but this is the brownish label with the big E. 1970, they went with a red label with the big E, but this is 1968, I believe. 68 was like this, but the very first one, this is the very first what looks like. You can see same design, but put them next to each other, you can see this is more of a gold color. Same large E on the top, but the label is a gold color versus this brownish color. Another way you can tell by the cover, Gold Record Award. This is a dead giveaway that it was a later pressing, because when it first came out, we didn't know how many copies to sell. He didn't win the gold record. So this is also how you look at it. After this, it went to a red label, the butterfly, and so on and so forth. So definitely know your labels when you're out there looking for records, pressings. It makes a big difference in value. Thank you for joining me. Stay safe out there. Take care.